Greetings. So, let's talk about something topical. And this is something that's been in the news quite a bit lately. It's been in all the papers and so on. I think you probably know what I'm going to say already. And that is the fact that the number of Shire horses is massively on the decline. I mean, they say there's fewer than 1,000 Shire horses left in the country. And it's not many, is it? You know, obviously, I can see one or two people disagreeing. Obviously, I can see you disagreeing immediately, looking at me as if to say, well, personally, Paul, I think, 1,000 Shire horses, that sounds like quite a lot, you know, like all in one field. But I think, really, you need to compare it to how many Shire horses there would have been in the whole country in the agricultural peak of this nation. And they'd have been all spread about as well, wouldn't they? They wouldn't have just been in one field. I mean, you're not comparing like with like. And there'd have been loads of them, wouldn't there? I mean, I don't know the exact figures for how many Shire horses there were a couple of hundred years ago, because I wasn't fully concentrating on the report. I said fewer than 1,000 now, didn't I? Fewer than 1,000 now. So, I mean, how many Shire horses would there have been, like, in the 18th and 19th centuries? I mean, I don't think I'd be exaggerating and saying, what, more than 1,100? I mean, there must have been, mustn't there? So there's been a considerable decrease in numbers, hasn't there? I don't think anyone's going to argue with that now. I think I've put that point across pretty cogently. And it's a shame that the numbers is going down, isn't it? Because the fact of the matter is that Shire horses are part of all our lives, aren't they? Obviously, not necessarily a major part, but we tend to see a Shire horse, on average, about once every 3 years. That is the average period between seeing one Shire horse and the next Shire horse for a normal human. And there's various places you might see a Shire horse, aren't there? I mean, where might you see a Shire horse? Agricultural fair, that's a good suggestion. What is the most common place to see a Shire horse? A fete, absolutely right. A fete. So you always see a Shire horse at a fete, don't you? Not that you necessarily see the Shire horse straight away when you go to the fete, do you? Because there's so many other things to notice at the fete, aren't they? I mean, when I go to a fete, the first thing I always notice is the police dog display team. It's absolutely incredible, isn't it? Basically, what happens is the dog, it jumps through a hoop of fire. And in this sort of situation, people often say to me, they say, Paul, how does the police dog jump through the hoop of fire without being seriously injured? I don't know why they think I've got all the answers. The question is, how does the police dog jump through the hoop of fire without being seriously injured? The answer is, it doesn't. It's not widely known, but the dog is badly burned. And it's put down shortly afterwards. But you don't notice that because by then the Lord Mayor is on stage and he is announcing the results of the under-8s fancy dress competition. His voice sort of goes all shrill and he says, and the winner is Samantha Johnson! And you think, oh, it's going a bit over the top there. I mean, you know, it's only the results of the under-8s fancy dress. I mean, we've still got the under-9s results to come. In a much more hotly contested contest. You know, we all know who's going to win the under-8s fancy dress. It's obviously going to be Samantha Johnson dressed up as Osama bin Laden. She's the runaway winner. You know, we know all that. But the real reason why the mayor is going so loud with his voice is to mask the sound of the bullets. Because that's all going on behind the main marquee, you see, the assassinations. Because the thing to remember is that the police dogs, they are trained on a hoop without fire. And when you see the display, that is its first and last ever display. Tragic. So that's one thing you see at a fete. Now, of course, another thing you always see at a fete is there's always a fire engine at a fete, isn't there? It's not so much in the centre of the police dogs, more on the edge of the fete, really. And it's not actually doing anything, the fire engine. I mean, it's a shame it's not putting out the hoop. Or, at the very least, it could be dousing down the dog, you know, retrospectively to give it a chance. But no, it's like an off-duty fire engine, and there are various off-duty firemen all round it. And it's like Fireman's Open Day. And it's like, you know, you can ask some questions and stuff. Like, I mean, any question you want, really. You know, I mean, if you've got a question about the hose, they'll answer it. I mean, they're totally relaxed. And if you're quite lucky, like, for example, if you were a child, and that would be quite lucky, Then you're allowed to sit in the fireman's cab and pretend to be a fireman. That's quite fun. That is, of course, until you press the button and the siren goes off. And that's when the fun ends. The fireman says, excuse me, but it's a bit off-putting to other people of the fate, and the mayor is in the middle of making a speech. Can you turn the siren off, please? And then you say, I'm sorry, but I thought you said I could pretend to be a fireman. Surely that would involve doing anything that a fireman would do. I mean, you are ruining my life. I am a 6-year-old boy. I've already faced the disappointment of coming second in the under-8s fancy dress competition. I mean, in many ways, I would have been more suited to the under-7s, you know. I mean, I did overreach myself. I realise that now, but, you know, as a consolation, to take my mind off it all, you said I could pretend to be a fireman. What you're really saying is I can pretend to be a fireman who does not have access to his full capabilities. A fireman who is not able to deal with emergencies. In short, an emasculated fireman. You're a vicious firefighting bastard. Then you have to leave the fate under a bit of a cloud, don't you? A bit of a bad atmosphere after that point, really. You know, you're with your aunt and she's saying, yes, you shouldn't have said that to the fireman, really. It was over the top, actually. And also, you shouldn't have called the mayor a paedophile. I'm sorry, Auntie, I was disappointed about the fancy dress results. I lashed out. It was wrong with me, you know. Mind you, you're walking away now, and you're starting to put it out of your mind, to be honest. You're sort of thinking, well, never mind, that the mayor will rebuild his life gradually. And next year, I'll enter the fancy dress competition for my age group. And, you know, I mean, there's been a lot of mistakes made this afternoon. You know, a lot of things that if I could turn the clock back, I'd do differently. I mean, you know, that tombola, I was throwing good money after bad. But, you know, it's over now. It doesn't matter. You know, what happens in the fate stays in the fate. And you've been walking for some minutes by now, and I would say by now you're right on the edge of the fate. I mean, I'm not exaggerating in saying you are on the absolute borders of the fate. I mean, you are literally on the absolute peripheries of what is the fate and what is the real world. I mean, yes, of course, you're still in the fate. Yeah, I'm the first to admit that. Absolutely, you're still in the fate, of course. You're I mean, yes, you're still in the fate, yes. But I mean, I can't overemphasise, I can't over-exaggerate once too many times too often. The fact of the matter is, you're right on the absolute edge of the... I mean, you're barely in the fate. You've more or less left it. And then suddenly, you see a shire horse. And it's pulling a cart along in a demonstration of what a shire horse would have done in the 18th and 19th centuries. And you say, oh, look at that shire horse, Auntie Geraldine. Isn't it magnificent? Hasn't it got magnificent hoofs and like lovely hairs hanging down over its ankles like a pair of horsey Ugg boots? Yes, you're quite right about the Ugg boots, Paul. Yes, this is Auntie Geraldine speaking in the 1980s. Yes, you're right about the Ugg boots. Yes. I'll tell you another thing about that horse, Paul. That horse, that's not going to win the Derby. Oh, yes, you're quite right about that, Auntie. That's not going to win the Derby, all right. That horse, that's going to be struggling to get into the stalls, let alone get out of the stalls, let alone go on to win one of the top races in the thoroughbred racing calendar. Oh, I'm not going to win the Derby. Oh, that was a good quip. Oh, it never was a truer word said in jest. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Oh, let's go, Auntie. Let's get into the hatchback and go home. And again, you get into the car and you drive off and you don't see another shy horse for about another 3 years, do you? Just forget about it, really, don't you? You put it out of your mind, actually. You just think, well, you know, I'm not going to see a shy horse for ages. Doesn't matter. Mind you, easy enough for us to forget about a shy horse, isn't it? Not so easy for the shy horse, is it? I mean, how do you think the shy horse feels? I mean, actually, let's turn things on their... upside down for a minute. I'm feeling a bit reckless. For a moment, let's turn the tables. Let's see things from the point of view of the shire horse. And the shire horse, he must feel absolutely flipping devastated, wasn't he? He must just think to himself, oh, God, why am I bothering with this? Pulling a cart along in a demonstration of what a shire horse would have done in the 18th and 19th centuries. I mean, what am I actually demonstrating? I mean, basically, I'm a horse that is a bit bigger than a normal horse pulling a cart along. I'm essentially demonstrating something that could just as easily be described verbally. And there is no need for me to actually be here, alive, an anachronism from the past, slogging my guts out, pulling this flipping cart along. I mean, I know I'm strong, but it's still heavy, isn't it? Still hard work. And it's not as if anyone notices me when I go to the fete anyway. They notice all the other things, don't they? I mean, they notice the police dog display team, they notice the fire engine, they notice the mayor being taken away in handcuffs. I mean, I'm basically an afterthought. And even when they do notice me, it's not as if people really appreciate the magnificent beauty of my incredible, strong, shy horse body. I mean, all they do is make a brief comment about my ankles and then say how I'm not going to win the derby. I mean, obviously I'm not going to win the derby, am I? It's a completely different sort of horse, isn't it? I'm built for strength, aren't I? Not speed. I mean, when I consider that horses like me, we were the backbone of this country in the agricultural peak of this nation, and now we have been reduced to being nothing more than a bit of a joke for people just as they leave a fete. Yeah, just wanting for people a bit of a laugh about for a moment. TV recording, just for a few seconds until Paul Foot moves on to the next subject, which will be shortly. Oh, yeah, it's all a big old laugh for you, isn't it? Big old joke for you, big old joke for you, isn't it? Homosexuals! I can see you there, homosexual sitting there thinking, oh yeah, let's have a bit of a laugh about a shy horse and his hoofs, and then let's go and have sex with other men. Well, I'm sorry, but I don't agree with it. I'm going to say this next part. I know I'll be criticised for saying it, but I'm going to say it because I think I'm only saying what a lot of people think deep down, but are too nervous to say because of all the political correctness gone mad. I'm going to say it. I think what people get up to, what people like you get up to, is morally wrong and it upsets Jesus. Yeah. I mean, I am a heterosexual shy horse. I make love to lady shy horses, same as any other shy horse, just a normal family shy horse. Well, I'm going to say this next part. Let's just for a moment, just face up to the harsh, stark realities of what goes on in the gay world. Yeah, let's take a peek behind the gay curtains into the bedrooms. Yeah, and maybe it'll be a bit of a wake-up call for you. I'm gonna say it. I think that for a man to touch another man using his own penis, that is an abomination, not to mention unhygienic. These obviously are not my views. They're the views of the Shire horse, because we have to remember they're from the 18th and 19th centuries, so they've got very outdated views. I mean, they really haven't moved on in terms of their social attitudes. When was the last time you saw a Shire horse, madam? Well, about 3 years ago. You are technically, statistically speaking, you are due to see another Shire horse any moment now. And when you see it, I bet you'll think to yourself, oh, doesn't it look lovely? Look at that lovely Shire horse. Oh, I mean, look at the lovely face, all that lovely, long, sad-looking, horsey face, all sad and sweet, you know. But actually, they're quite homophobic. And most of them are also extremely racist. I don't like them. To be honest, I'm glad there's fewer than 1,000 left in the country. So a little bit of topical humour there. Thank you very much indeed.